My name is Robert M. Millsaps. I was born in East Tennessee on a farm in the second day of January 2019. I was 95. We live in Lake Little now. I've been there almost 16 years, yeah. Of course, my wife passed away the 14th of December 2016 after 71 years. We got married after I came back from Germany in Maryville, Tennessee, which is about 7 or 8 miles south of Knoxville. I don't remember the girl I was with that time, but I had my date in there. And the girl that I knew before I went to Germany, I don't know how she saw me, and I didn't realize she was in the world anymore. And my girl that I used to know sent this girl in and tapped me on the shoulder, says, "Is your name Mac Millsaps?" I looked up and I said, "Yes, honey, what can I do for you?" And she says, "There's someone outside who wants to talk to you." So I excused myself from my date. When I talked to this girl that I knew before I went to the army, I said, "Who was that come in that got me?" And she told me her name and everything. I said, "Where does she work?" "She works at a drugstore, so-and-so." The next night, I was sitting at the counter having a milkshake. We've been together ever since. When I was drafted, I was 19 years old. And when I went over to Germany, I was 20. One soldier was leaning against that door. When the operator opened that door, he fell and went tumbling down, but he didn't get hurt. But there's another sergeant out on my left was getting off, and he got hit by the German. He went down dead. Later on, I don't recall the months exactly, but I got hit in my cottage belt with a bullet, and that bullet landed in my cottage belt, and I found it later. Then next time we was waiting in the hedgerows for an advancement, and an artillery shell cut in, a piece about an inch and a quarter, hit my canteen, and that thing went inside of my canteen, and it knocked that canteen against my hip. I knew I was hurt because so we got up and started moving, and that July water was running down my leg, and I knew it was my blood. And of course I had to turn my thing in and get me a new canteen. Then the next time I got hit, I was following one of our tanks. I was right behind it and just happened to glance around up there about 100, 150 feet, and the German stepped out behind a building up there with a bazooka. He let loose that bazooka. It hit that tank right in the back, and that splattered on me, and 3 little pieces of tin went right through my shirt into my chest. It did not bring blood, and I don't know why it didn't, but those 3 times, I remember the very thing, get hit by those things. I did not get the Purple Heart. I wasn't looking for it. I just kept moving. My platoon sergeant, He was going in this big building in the door one time, a shell came over and came down on his head, and he lost half of his head. And of course, me, PFC, private first class, I don't know why they picked me out of 12 more men, and they promoted me to sergeant. And 10 days later, they give me another promotion. Then they want me to take over my squad, which I had no choice, I did. But the scaredest I ever was in my life in military, they signed me to take 3 of my men out to try to find out where the Germans were. And I was, no lights, no smoking, nothing. We went out through the woods, started out through the woods. Didn't know where I was going to. Never been there before in my life. We went probably 500 feet, and I heard German tanks coming in. And I thought, uh-oh, they're heading my way or which way? So we turned and came back and reported to the command at these tanks, and they had, our tanks and their tanks had a battle that night. And I shouldn't say it, but I was glad they did because I don't know where I was going. I would have never got back. War is hell, and I can admit to that too, yes. Survival is the most important, yeah. Don't get up and shake your head and try to tell somebody that says, I'm not afraid of that. But I have slept in many foxholes, I do remember a lot of things that I went through, but I think I have had a pretty good life considering, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I consider myself pretty lucky, I guess.
Postcards is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota. Additional support provided by Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies, Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien on behalf of Shalom Hill Farms, a retreat and conference center in a prairie setting near Windham, Minnesota. On the web at shalomhillfarm.org. Alexandria, Minnesota, a year-round destination with hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for memorable vacations and events. More information at explorealex.com. The Lake Region Arts Council's Arts Calendar, an arts and cultural heritage funded digital calendar showcasing upcoming art events and opportunities for artists in West Central Minnesota. On the web at lrac4calendar.org. Playing today's new music plus your favorite hits, 96.7 Cram. Online at 967cram.com.